Well, tonight at Stony Point High School in Round Rock in the auditorium, there is a conversation to save our students, solutions for wellness and safety.
It's a special live event featuring school district leaders and mental health experts from across Central Texas, answering questions and sharing their thoughts on innovative ideas to protect our kids on campus. Ahead of tonight's conversation, Round Rock ISD Superintendent Dr. Steve Flores sat down with me to talk about the evolution of mental wellness in schools. I want to start with, we have this event coming up, this SOS, Save Our Students event, and you guys were gracious enough to host it at Stony Point High School. We're tackling mental health, which seems like it's a growing issue for young people. Why do you think it's important for parents, students, anybody who's concerned to get out there for something like this?
Well, thank you first and foremost for hosting or for us being considered to be the host site. In fact, we're very proud of that. But this is an important topic. Mental health, mental wellness is such an important topic for not only our youth, but our parents and our entire community. A couple of years ago, my student advisory board came up with a project. They said, Dr. Flores, we really want to focus on mental health and suicide prevention. And as the superintendent, I said, you know what, we can do other things such as, heart walks or different things like that. They said, no, actually what we're seeing is that our parents and a lot of adults aren't communicating well with us, and we're sending a lot of signals where some of my friends have attempted suicide, have committed suicide, and some other things. So as a superintendent, I thought, I don't know about whether we want to really go into that.
Why do you think you initially had that hesitation to do that?
The hesitation, again, for the student advisory board, one of the things that we always look at is a community service project, and one of the community service projects that that lends a lot of things that usually you think about it from a positive light. This was something different, but at the same time, well, to the point where it turns out that maybe this is the most positive light, most positive project to date. So that being said, I think that where we are right now is I'm thankful for our students to say we need to be heard, we need to be listened to, because we are sending messages.
This notion of mental health being such a priority in schools seems like a new phenomenon. Over your career, have you seen it that way, or is it just that we talk about it more, but the mental health problems have always been there over the decades?
I think that our students are very resilient. Probably in my 36 years as an educator, probably the most resilient students ever. But they're also dealing with different set of circumstances that are much more pronounced than when I was a child or a graduate of high school.
Social media.
Yes, social media and influences, undue pressures that that for whatever reason, they didn't feel comfortable to talk about. As a result, what we're doing now is allowing our students to have that voice, to feel that there's someone that's going to listen to them, regardless of what they may feel might be a problem. It might just be a solution ready to happen.
So I want to change topics a little bit and talk about, pretty soon here the district's going to have to figure out how we're going to handle police on campus, because there's some changes coming, and the idea now coming up for a vote is to form a Round Rock ISD police department. What would you like to see as the result of that vote?
What I'd like to see, again, this has been a citizens committee that has looked at the possible, safety and security of our students and staff. And so I just want to hear what their final recommendations will be. So we will obviously adjust from those recommendations, because the school board will eventually have to make a decision on what that course of action will be to keep our students as safe as possible. Because we do know that right now that Round Rock PD has stated since 2017 that we're going to need a transition. The Sheriff's Department has also said that, and that they feel that it is in the best interest of the district to actually have its own police department.
So if Round Rock PD and Williamson County Sheriff have said, look, we're not going to be able to continue to do this, do you have another option other than forming a police department? Is there anything else you can do?
I don't know if there are any other options other than the formation of the district's own police department. But before we do any of that, we need to hear what the final recommendations are. And then the board's going to have to, with the administration, enact or produce whatever makes parents feel that their children are safe in our schools, and that that we have listened to the entire community.
Hey there, Alyssa Goard. I'm here with Dr. Steve Flores of Round Rock ISD, and we're here for a digital exclusive as part of our Save Our Students series. Tell us about the landscape of what kind of support there is at your district when it comes to mental health.
You know, there's a plethora when it comes to mental health for students. Obviously, you know, there's so much that we can do and should do, and so we take that very seriously. And so begin with our bus drivers. Our bus drivers are trained to focus on how students enter a bus as they walk and then they leave the bus. Our school resource officers, again, we partner with Williamson County as well as the Round Rock PD, and they also serve not only, you know, as advisors, but they as resource officers, but they also serve as advisors for our students. They too are trained to look at the things that might give a necessity for us to follow up on later. So there's a plethora of things that we can do. And our teachers understand that relationships are so important. So the discussions of knowing the simple things as knowing their name and saying it correctly, saying their names correctly. Our teachers understand that. We have counselors in our high schools, and we have, you know, also some mental health clinics at 2 of our high schools, which I would imagine in due time we'll have it at all 5, where a child can say, you know what, I'm just not feeling it today. There's something going on that I need to have a conversation. If they don't feel comfortable with their counselor, they can go to the mental health clinic, and there'll be no questions asked, and they can then go in and seek the necessary help, and then we can provide that support.
So if we have Round Rock parents who are watching this fall, they could get a student in to see someone there?
You bet. As a matter of fact, that's a really good question. If I'm a parent watching and I have difficulty in having any kind of a conversation with my child about some tough topics, I want you to know that you can access the mental health clinic. You can call the campus, and you know they can direct you there, and you can actually be that person that says, hey, I had a falling out, or I didn't agree with my child today, and as a result, you know what, can somebody check on them? This is an important facet of what this is about. So again, it's just making parents feel comfortable about having another resource that their child may need.
If time or money or personnel were no object, what would be on your wish list to do to support mental health and wellness in your district?
That's a tough question. You know, mental health and wellness is so critical that you know, 25 years ago, this really wasn't discussed in schools. Now, it's got to be a centerpiece. It's got to be something that you fundamentally understand that our students need more of, because actually, our students are actually doing really well with the world that adults such as me, you, and others have given them. So first and foremost, they're very resilient. But even then, as it continues and they continue through the system and they go, then any kind of resource that assists them in being successful, we always want. If I had a wish, it'd be that every child feels connected with their teachers. That if they didn't feel they could feel that connected, that then they felt that way with a counselor. But in other words, that my wish would be that every child understands there's help, that there is a caring adult, and usually it's all throughout our campuses, throughout the schools, but they got to find someone they feel comfortable. So my biggest wish is that we had ways to better identify those students that might be falling through the cracks because they may be smiling at a time their heart's not really happy. They may be sad at a time when, guess what, they really are trying to express joy. So what I'm trying to say is that if we just had, in a perfect world, the way to best connect a child to understanding someone cares about them in our Round Rock school system, I'd be the happiest superintendent on the planet.
Dr. Steve Flores, thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.